Okay, yep.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's all right. I can unmute. I just had some discussion with the Venerable here about like having everybody live chanting, and he said that it ended up with a cacophony of chaos. But I quite like a cacophony.
Of chaos.
I love a cacophony of chaos.
Yes, a cacophony of chaos sounds absolutely perfect way to begin an evening.
Excellent. So let's try it and let's see what happens. Maybe it will be beautiful. Maybe it'll be the choirs of angels. I don't know.
Well, you may well be.
All right, let's try.
Okay, I won't mute everybody this evening, so here we go. I'm going to share the screen.
Okay.
You can see the words done at the moment, and I will get that ready. Yes.
Nice.
There we go. We're sharing the screen now.
Great.
Auntie, over to you to lead us in a cacophony.
This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be happy, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be happy. Let none deceive another, nor despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yes, that is the true sound of love, the true sound of metta. Everybody, yes? Everybody is okay. We don't have to all be the same. Love doesn't mean everybody's just the same thing, but everybody rejoices in everybody else with all of your different cacophonies, everybody making it better. So that's really lovely. So thanks. Really lovely to see you again, and if in a different format, and if we've lost something by not being local in Armadale, we've gained something by having friends from around the world. So for today's talk, since we just chanted the Metta Sutta, I thought I might just say a few words about Metta and a few words about the Metta Sutta. Has any of the monks done anything on the Metta Sutta recently? I don't want to repeat what somebody else has done.
Yes, we do have a little bit on the Metta Sutta. What do you think, Marlene?
Has someone done one recently?
So it's different. Every time we get a different speaker, it's different. So
Go again.
Metta again.
But you've had someone talk about it. I don't want to just repeat because then you'll be like, oh, that other monk did Metta much better than Metta Sujato, and then I'll be like,
You will be our expert now, Bhante.
I don't think so. But anyway, okay, well, let's try it. Let's see, maybe we'll bring something new to it. All right, so we just did the Metta Sutta, and of course this is the Metta, which is loving kindness or love, and that is the first one of the 4 Brahma Viharas or sublime abidings or immeasurables in Buddhism. And the 4 immeasurables are Metta. What are the other ones? Can anyone remember the other ones?
Karuna.
Karuna. What does Karuna mean?
Mudita.
Mudita. Upekkha. What are they in English?
Compassion.
Okay.
Joy.
Yeah. Equanimity.
The other one.
Mate, you
Equanimity.
just don't care about that last one. You're completely indifferent about it. Won't even. All right, very good. All right, very good. So for Brahma Viharas now, in the past few years, I've been translating suttas, and part of that, of course, translating the Metta Sutta. And you can see my translation of the Metta Sutta on Sutta Central. But what I might do for just today, very briefly, is note a couple of interesting points that delving deeper into my translation that I came across. Now, one of them comes right in the first couplet of the sutta. So in the translation we just did, which is by Ajahn Sujato, it says, one who is skilled in goodness, atta kusalena, by one who is skilled in goodness. Does anyone know exactly what that means? You must know, right? You've been chanting it for all this time, right?
Skilled in the path.
Okay.
Someone who's kind?
Someone's dying? Is that what you said?
Someone who is kind.
Oh, is someone who is kind. Oh, right, thank you. Okay, good.
Gloria said, you train yourself to be good.
You train yourself to be good, okay. Anyone else? Okay, that's all right.
Practices.
Yourself to be gentle.
To be gentle. Okay. But, so if it's fine. All perfectly good answers. I'm just wondering, like, if you're already kind and gentle and all of those kinds of things, why do you need to do it? Don't you already have it? Like, if you're skilled in goodness, can't you just, like, chill out and just watch some Netflix or something? So it was never entirely clear to me exactly what this line meant, right? And the Pali, one of the reasons why, because the Pali is atta kusalena. Kusala means skilled, right? So in this case it means skilled or clever or expert or something like that. And atta can have many different meanings in Pali. It can mean goodness, it can mean welfare, it can mean purpose, and so on, and so many different kinds of things. And so when I was translating it, I translated it more or less the same as this when I first did it. But when I went back and reviewed it, delved a little bit more deeply. Turns out that the phrase atta kusala occurs a few times in the suttas. And where it occurs elsewhere in the suttas, it always means in the sense of somebody who understands the meaning of a text. Right? So the Dhamma is a text and atta is the meaning of the text. So that puts a rather different spin on it. Essentially what that means, if you read it in that way, what it says essentially is that, well, if you've already got the book learning, right? You've already read the book. Now do the thing. Yeah? And to me that yields a much more straightforward meaning. Yeah? Oh yeah, you've heard the teaching, you've mastered that, you know what that's about. Now we have to actually implement it. So this is what I think that this, and it's not just this one, but it's also a bunch of other suttas in the same collection that have similar kind of messages. And so this is what I think that attakusalena there actually means. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Yeah, because it's something that I think we're all familiar with. And so we can read Dhamma books, and we can read suttas, and we can come to Dhamma talks and all of those things, and we have more Dhamma resources than any generation in the past. I mean, it's astonishing, really. And we can go, and so many people, places we can go, join Dhamma classes online or listen to talks on YouTube, podcasts, we can read Sutta Central, we can do all of these kinds of things. So how much really is the right amount? How much do we need to learn in order to practice? Yeah? And so for all of us, progress on the path requires all of these things. Requires some talks, some books, all of those things, and some meditation. What is the right amount? So generally speaking, I'm going to give you a prescription here. Generally speaking, a little bit of reading, listening to Dhamma, and so on, and a lot of meditation. That's how it usually should go, right? So when I was a young monk, when I was studying, practicing in Thailand, and say during the rains retreat and so on, then usually what I would do, my normal practice, would be I would read one sutta every day, and then do meditation for the rest of the day. At certain times I'd also memorize suttas as well. So say doing walking meditation and sort of going through the chanting of the passages as well. But that's usually what I would do, one sutta a day and then meditation. And so something like that I think is important to bear in mind. It's very easy to kind of just mainline Dhamma talks these days. We can just put a drip feed in and just kind of put YouTube on in the background and just have the Dhamma talks going on and on and on. And a lot of folks do this, and to be honest, I don't really think it's a good idea. I really don't. You're much better focus a little bit of Dhamma and give it time to digest. It's not the amount, but it's the depth with which you digest it that matters. And that's where the meditation comes in. Yeah? So a little bit of Dhamma and then a lot of meditation. Yeah? That is my recommendation. And I say this specifically because, I do a lot of work these days with Sutta Central, and I have this reputation for being like a scholar and doing all these translations. And of course that's true. But the reason that I do that is because I love it. And I don't think everybody should do that, right? I don't think everybody should be like an expert in the suttas or something like that, but just enough to keep your practice going. And if you get the joy and the love from studying more deeply, then that's great. But that's not going to be for everyone. Okay, so attakusalena. So you've heard the teachings, you've heard the instructions, you know what they mean, and then you're going to apply it. Okay, very good. I'm going to go through a couple of the other details that here. Now the first, obviously the important thing about the Metta Sutta is that the first third of it is not really about metta as such. It's actually about how to live a good life. And so this is so important and something which is so not to be neglected. One of the underlying principles here is that metta... Oh, sorry, I should talk about what metta means first. So I'm going to talk about what metta means. So normally people translate it as loving kindness. And in my translations, loving kindness is a perfectly fine translation of metta, nothing wrong with it. But in my translations, I usually translate it as love. And the reason for that is because I mean, obviously the reason why people don't translate it as love is because obviously love can have erotic connotations and other kind of connotations as well. But love can encompass a wide variety of meanings in English. And I kind of feel that, especially in Theravada Buddhism, that we too often take a kind of emotionally distancing stance with regards to our teachings and our practices. And I kind of feel like using loving kindness, it sort of creates a kind of emotional distance, because it's only really a sort of a technical term used in Buddhism, actually. I mean, it's maybe percolated into the wider society a bit, but basically it's a kind of just a term used in Buddhism. Whereas the term love is the one that has a real emotional resonance. And like for me as a monk, I can even feel it like when I'm talking and like when I'm giving a Dhamma talk. Like if I use loving kindness, it doesn't really convey an emotional charge for me. It's just like a word that you kind of use. But if I use the word love, then I can feel it inside myself that it has some kind of movement, you know? It has some kind of power to evoke something powerful. And I think the word love is one of the most powerful words in the English language. And it points to something which is very deep and very profound. And of course, the different kinds of love that there are in the world, you know, erotic love or familial love or different kinds of attachment and so on, but they all have something in common, and they all have something to do with breaking down boundaries and erasing an individual kind of sense of self. And so I think that they're not completely disconnected as ideas from the idea of metta in Buddhism. And of course this is in line with the Metta Sutta itself, which of course gives the great simile of the love that a mother has for her child. And so this is the exemplar of how we're going to be developing metta. And you know, just kind of think about that moment, you know, when the mother is holding her baby child in her arms and just gazing at the child, and just that connection of love between the two of them. And, you know, would you say of the mother that she is feeling loving kindness for her child? Right? I mean, okay, sure, but it's a kind of distancing language, isn't it? She's not feeling loving kindness for her child, she loves her child. Yeah? And it's that closeness, that intimacy and that power of the word that I'm trying to capture there. So the idea in metta is that we're somehow tapping into a very primal and fundamental feature of human psychology. Now, in the first third of, not just actually human psychology, any psychology, but in the first third of it, where it's talking about various kind of, you know, living, being able and upright, humble, not conceited, and so on and so forth. One of the things which it seems to me is implicit throughout that whole passage, like why are these things contributing to developing love? Why is being frugal contributing to developing love? Why is being content? What do these things have to do with one another? I believe that love is something which is implicit and inherent in our minds. I think it's natural and normal for us to feel love. I feel that that's just a kind of, that's just how we are. And that's, you know, at least in this lifetime, this is what we learn when we are in our mother's arms and we're being held and we feel that sense of love. And that develops our own capacity to respond and to feel joy and to feel that connection and to feel that dissolving of the boundaries of ourselves. And so I think that this first third in the Metta Sutta is, in a way, taking down those things which is standing in the way of love. Yeah? So, for example, by contentment, right? So the opposite of contentment is greed. Greed, wanting things. So greed is like a kind of a faux substitute for love, isn't it? We think that this is going to be the thing we're going to get, which is going to make us happy. And so contentment by itself doesn't have anything directly to do with love, but it allows the space for love to come up. And I think the same thing applies through all of these the initial third of it, that we are preparing the ground, allowing, like removing the weeds, removing the obstacles, removing the stones from the soil, and giving the space for the love which is already there to grow up. Now in Buddhism we have this lovely word bhavana. So when we talk about meditation, we use the word bhavana, and often bhavana is just translated as meditation, which is fair enough. But actually the word bhavana has quite a specific meaning. It's from the root bhu, meaning to be, and it's a causative form. So it literally means to make something be more. Yeah? So to bhavana, to meditate, is to make something be more. In other words, to grow it, to amplify it, to enhance it, to enlarge it. So citta bhavana is the enhancement of the mind, the growth of the mind, the amplification of the mind. Metta bhavana, yeah? The growth of metta, the amplifying of metta, the enhancement of metta. The metta which is already there. And I think this is one of the real keys to doing metta meditation. The metta is already there. You have it inside you. It's in you right now. Somewhere, maybe hidden, maybe lost, right? Maybe confused, yeah? I mean, maybe it comes and goes, right? I'm not saying it's literally there all the time, but I'm just saying it's a normal part of your mind that will just come and go. And I think that we treat love as being something rare, something fleeting, yeah? But I don't think it is, actually. I think it's very common and very normal. And I think it's in you right now. And I think that when we're meditating, so our practice with meditating is to learn how to focus our mind very gently in a way that's going to help to lead to the flourishing of that metta which is already there. Now then we come to these very beautiful passages here where it talks about wishing that, as the translation here it says, in gladness and in safety may all beings be happy. Again, I'm just going to say a couple of words about one of the words in that little phrase. The word translated here as safety is khema. Yeah? Sukhino wa khemino hontu. So the Pali word is khema. And khema is a very interesting word, a very old word with a very long and rich history. The roots of the word khema, it seems, go back to the time of the Proto-Indo-European peoples. So the Pali language shares in common with most European languages that it originates from the Proto-Indo-Europeans who lived in around the Caspian Sea, probably about 3,000 or 4,000 BC. And one of the things that you can see from those, what words are inherited from those languages is what things mattered for those people. So, for example, typical Proto-Indo-European words would be things like cow, right? Gava, yeah? Cows were mattered for them, but fish, no. Right, because they're inland. Fish were not a big thing, so fish is not shared, but cow is. Horse is, yeah? Horses were very important, but elephants not, because, well, there's no elephants in the central of Asia. So one word which was there is the word khema. Khema. It's got a nice sound to it, doesn't it? It seems that the original meaning of khema was something like an oasis. And so those people were pastoral nomads. They would have had herds of cattle and they were wandering across the grasslands and the steppes. You know, it's not an easy life. Yeah, wandering with your animals, with your family or whatever, with your tribe, finding new grazing land, new grass. Maybe it's hot, maybe it's cold, maybe it's raining. And then at the end of the day, you know from your wanderings where is a place that you can shelter for the night. And so you'd come to an oasis. There's a well, there's some trees, there's some shade, there's some grass. And you would unshackle, unyoke the beasts of burden. This is why the Buddha uses this phrase, yoga kema. This is what yoga kema means. It means the unyoking of the beasts at the end of the day's work. And, you'd put your supplies down, light a fire, have a bath, have a drink, and have that peace and that safety and that security. So this is the original meaning of the word kema. And as time went on, it took on a bunch of other meanings. In the Jataka stories in Pali, there's a number of places. Kema is commonly used as the name of a princess or queen. And in that usage, it's also connected with the names of certain mythical creatures, but also of places, and specifically places that were sanctuaries for the animals. So in one of the Jataka stories, for example, it tells the story about the lake called Kema. And so again, that's got a connection with the original idea of an oasis. And the lake called Kema is the place where the animals and the birds could come and they would find safety. And through the story, it tells about how the humans came to respect the needs of the animals and to know that if they are in that place, then they can't go hunting and they can't kill any of the animals who come to that kema, come to that place of security and place of safety. So when we call this, translate kema as safety, right? As in that translation, it's not wrong as a translation, but it doesn't really capture the full richness of the meaning. And so when we think about it like that, it actually is a very beautiful meaning. We can see why it has so close to that sense of love, and so close to that sense of love and care for all creatures, for literally all creatures, all the animals, all the little creatures, all the birds. And it's amazing to see, to me it's amazing to see, in these ancient texts, more than 2,000 years old, such a care and concern for looking after the deer and the geese and all of the little creatures around. And so this is the meaning of the word kema. And it to me, it also evokes this idea that in practicing metta, that it's also part of our responsibility, right? Part of our path in practicing metta is to also do what we can to create a kema, right? To create a place of safety, a place of sanctuary, a place where other creatures are going to not be hunted, not be scared, whether they are other human beings or other animals. And so this is that sense of that word kema. So there's just a few thoughts on the Metta Sutta, and I don't want to go on too long because we'll miss out the time for the meditation. And so I wanted to just say a few words on the meditation before we begin. And so if anyone has any more questions about the Metta Sutta or anything else, then please ask afterwards, or I guess you can pop them in the chat as well. So we're going to do some metta. Would you like to do some metta meditation? I think it sounds like a good idea, right? What do you reckon?
Sounds excellent.
Okay, good.
Sounds really good. Thank you.
All right, so for today's metta meditation, I'm going to say just a few words before we start. So this is a practice that I learned many years ago in Thailand from a monk called Ajahn Sujato, and he taught me how to do this metta meditation, and I've practiced it ever since. So one of the things that he said he taught was about doing the metta for different people. Now, if you see in the Metta Sutta that it has this way of developing metta to beings that are weak and strong, emitting none, great and mighty. So it has this idea that you develop metta to like smaller groups and then gradually extending it to all beings. So the way Ajahn Chachai practices it, it's not exactly the same as that, but it still keeps that similar idea of starting out small and then gradually developing it. So in this practice, we do metta beginning with ourselves. And one of the reasons we do that is because we are also sentient beings, right? Yes, it's true, we're all sentient beings, yes? I mean, unless any AI bots here, no? No, we're all actual sentient beings, that's good. Excellent. Just trying to think if anyone else is not a sentient being. Zombies? No zombies here tonight? No? No, that's good. I'm not saying that you can't do meditation if you're a zombie. I'm just probably maybe recommend a different one, that's all. Maybe like the impermanence of the body or something like that might be more suitable. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So we're going to do metta for ourselves. Can you do that, by the way? Is that all right? Can you do metta for yourself? David's shaking his head. I was in Dublin a few years ago, and when one of the things I do sometimes as an icebreaker when I'm with a new group is I say, okay, everyone, you have to go up to somebody you don't know in this group, and you have to tell that one person something good that you've done in the last day. Right? Just a kind of way of introducing and making a bit of an icebreaker. Say something good that you've done. And they just kind of looked at me and sort of cast their eyes down and said, oh no, we don't do that here in Ireland. No. I said, no, you have to do it. Yeah, so anyway, we'll see, right? So we'll do metta for oneself. And this particular session, we're just doing an introduction. So we're not going to do the whole thing. Just keep it simple. Do metta for ourselves, and then we'll do metta for all beings, okay? And that should be enough for today. All right, so let's begin. So sitting quietly. And just take a minute to relax into your seat and just be comfortable. So you've got nowhere to be, nothing to do, no one to impress, just being peaceful. So notice the mood or the emotion that you're carrying into the meditation. Is there any feeling like, I don't know, maybe excitement, might be nervousness, might be sadness. Whatever, just see if you can just be aware of it. Ah, okay, that's how I'm feeling right now. Ah, all right. So now leaving your mind resting in your heart, say to yourself the words, may I be happy, may I be happy, may I be happy. Repeating those words again and again and again, evenly, steadily, making a firm foundation for your mind. May I be happy, may I be happy, may I be happy, evenly, steadily. Now, as you keep going with those words, notice that along with the words is also something else, something a little bit more subtle, a little bit deeper than the words. And that's the feeling of metta. It's the feeling of loving kindness. So very soft, so very gentle. And you can feel that love like a warm glow, like a soft patch of moonlight. And keeping your focus inside your body and keeping the words, may I be happy, may I be happy, may I be happy. May I be happy. May I be happy. May I be happy. And letting that metta spread out and fill through your whole body. And now taking that same metta and spreading it out to all beings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Radiating out and spreading out. From the place where you're in, outside, over the land, up into the sky, filling up the whole world with beautiful, pure loving kindness, without any limitations, without any restrictions. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. So now we're coming near to the end of the meditation. I want you to gradually bring your mind back from the metta for all beings, contracting the mind back to oneself. May I be happy, may I be happy, may I be happy. And then letting the words of metta go, letting the feeling of metta fade away, and allowing the mind to return to a neutral space, empty, open and clear. Now, before we finish, take a minute to reflect back over the meditation. Inquire into cause and effect. What just happened? How did my mind change? Did I feel that feeling of metta? What was it like? What qualities were in there? Was it joyful? Was it peaceful? Was it light? How did those qualities change? What was it like when I did metta for all beings? And how does my mind feel like now compared to how it was at the start of the meditation? And finally we can dedicate the merit of our practice. May all beings be happy, may all beings be well, may all beings realize Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, very good.
Dee, would you like to continue with your talk for a while and then take questions and comments?
Let's go straight to the questions. Let's see if there's already a couple of questions on there. So why don't I start with them, and then people please pipe up with your questions. How many people do we have here? Not too many, right? It's like 40 or something. So
we've got 47 people.
Okay, so
Yes. There's one I've got here. Could I read it to you?
Sure.
Bhante? How can I handle deep regret about past decisions that have led to unwanted conditions that I have now? For example, comparing myself to others and being jealous of other people's lives. I know this is not good. It makes it hard to stay in the present and be thankful for what I already have. How can I deal with this big hindrance? Your advice would be kindly appreciated.
well, I'm sorry to hear that, and I'm sorry to hear that you're walking around with regrets, and yeah, it's sad, isn't it? Right? It's sad. We're sort of burdened by the past. Now, if I was to say, what one piece of advice that would most matter for you, for the person who asked that question, my piece of advice would be that I don't have any advice. Yes. Why? Because you already explained things so well in your question. And you laid it out and you said, this is what it is, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm going through and all of that stuff. and you understand, you're reflecting, you know what you should be doing, you know where you're going, and it's just a matter of getting there. So if what I would say to you is, what I hear in that question is wisdom and reflection and understanding, and they are the qualities which you need. And the only one perhaps which is also needed there also, unfortunately, is patience. Yes, I know, it's hard, isn't it? So these conditions, sometimes they have a kind of an energy that rolls on for a while. But you'll be okay because you understand. So don't worry, just keep going, and those things will gradually ease themselves. Yeah. Got a couple of hands up there.
Thanks, Bhante. Nikki, would you like to unmute and go ahead with your question?
Got it.
Excellent.
Thank you, Bhante.
No worries.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear your wonderful English accent so nicely. It was great.
Yeah, you can.
Is that a Cornish accent?
It's not, no. Oh no, it's a northern.
It's a northern. I can hear it now. Yeah, I can hear it. Whereabouts are you from then?
In Cornwall.
No. Whereabouts are you from in the north?
Oh, I'm from Kendal.
Kendal, huh?
The Cumbria, the Lake District.
My grandfather's from Lancashire.
Oh yeah, my dad's from Yorkshire. So they were fighting each other, weren't they?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about because I went into the meditation irritated.
Okay.
And I get
Good.
really irritated by the idea of the mother's love for a child. I don't like that phrase. I find it really patronising. Actually, I get very irritated by it. And I
Somebody will there'll always be something, right? There'll always be something you'll be like, oh, yeah. What?
I like it. It don't feel very inclusive. Because what if you've had a not a particularly loving relationship with your own mother, or having difficulties bonding with your child due to circumstances? So I find it really, the moment that's something to aspire to, I just think that's unfair. It doesn't feel very loving in itself.
Well, I'm
So I'm complaining about it to you.
Yeah, well, look, thank you for being honest. And, thanks for acknowledging your kind of annoyance and all of those kinds of things. I think that's fine. I think that's fair enough. But, what can you do, right? I mean, honestly, you can... It's a simile, and it relates to a lot of people's experience. So you just have to take it in that way. You could say, oh, it's as beautiful as the sunset, and someone would say, bloody hell, I hate sunsets. And so, that's just how the world is sometimes. So, yeah.
I suppose when I did that in the meditation, so I was irritated, then I imagined, say, because I used to work in a unit for mothers and their children. They were sent there from the courts, they were addicts, and so it's like there was a point where if they didn't go through treatment, they would lose their children.
Yeah.
So I imagined them, and then it did bring up compassion at least, because I thought, well, I know these mothers struggle to bond with their children due to horrific circumstances.
Yeah.
So it brought up so it did ease it, I suppose. In my opinion. I didn't manage to go that way.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I think probably, when the Buddha was saying that, I'm sure he was speaking from his own experience, right?
As a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His own memory of his love for his mother. Yeah.
All right. I just thought I'd say that anyway.
Thank you. If you come up with a better simile, let us know, all right? No worries, thanks, Nikki.
From the smiles I've seen, Nikki, it looks like you asked a question that resonated with other people too. Gloria, would you like to unmute?
Hello.
Gloria.
Yes, I always feel a weird sense of connection with monk who used to be musician because I study music in university.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a personal feeling. And then I have one comment and one question. The comment is that I think it's interesting that you say you will translate metta to love. I have personally thought about that before, but I always think that like love, because love related to me it will instantly bring up that feeling of tension and feeling of being trapped, as well as I cannot breathe.
Really?
I think that the translation of loving kindness is like it maintains the good distance between my feeling and the loving feeling with other people. But I see your point. But I also think that maybe like the intentional translation of like metta to loving kindness, maybe some people would want to maintain that distance. Like that distance is what they want. Yes, this is the comment. And then my question is that I participated in the Saturday meditation where you do impermanence.
Right. And
I feel really great during the meditation, and I want to do it myself afterwards. But I find that when I do it by myself, I do not feel as good. And do you have any advice on how to do? Because this is the first time I do like meditation on impermanence.
Right.
Any advice on how to do it better on your own? Thank you.
Okay, very good. So you mentioned three things, Gloria. I'm going to comment on each of those three things in turn. Number one, so you said, what kind of music did you study, just for my own interest?
Classical music.
In Hong Kong?
Yes.
Okay.
In university.
And what instrument did you play?
Piano.
Play piano. Okay. Nice. Okay. So have you made any like Dhamma music or recording or anything?
No, I think I myself think that there's like a conflict between the two, because the more I meditate, the more I don't want to play a piano.
Well, if you do, you should do a musical setting of the Metta Sutta, and then you can share it with everybody.
Okay, I will try. I'm going to try a composition, right?
Okay, that's my homework for you. Okay, so that's fine. So then the next one, thank you for that reflection on love and loving kindness. It's a good reflection. I hadn't thought of that, and so that's interesting. Thanks for that. So then the last one was about impermanence, and you asked about the meditation. Look, just practice, to be honest. And it's quite common that like when you start to meditate, or you first do a new meditation, you might have a good experience or something like that. Then maybe not so good later on or whatever. So just keep going and just keep trying. But the one thing that I would say for if you want to do meditation on impermanence, okay, a nice framework which is helpful for me in understanding how to do this is the first thing is this framework from the commentaries, although it's related to the suttas as well, but. You have the commentaries talk about three kinds of contemplation. What is it? Jnata parinya, tirana parinya, and pahana parinya. And what they basically mean is that when you begin, if you're doing vipassana meditation, you want to do insight meditation, the first thing you have to do is to know what is the thing that you're paying attention to. And so to be able to get very clear in your mind what that thing is. So let's say maybe that's the six senses. Maybe you're using the six senses for your meditation. And so to actually pay close attention for a long time to the sense of sight. What is it like to see? And get this kind of clear perception in your mind of like the eye and seeing, and what are these things like? What is it like to hear? Right? Hearing and seeing have completely different qualities. And just spend time on that, on learning what is that to see, to hear, to see, and all of the different senses. And then when you've done that, then you can introduce the impermanence. You say, this ear is impermanent, the eye is impermanent. And you can see, they're shifting back, and the attention's shifting back from one to the other, and you can look at impermanence in different dimensions. And then that's the tirana parinya, the second stage. And the last stage, pahana parinya, this is where you let go. And everything is just equanimity. So, but that first idea is like really important when you're developing the meditation. First, see it just really clearly, and then you'll start to see it being impermanent. Okay? Okay, no worries. Very good. Okay. Any other hands up?
We've just got a quick comment from the last comment I read from the chat.
Yeah.
Ajahn,
Go on.
I'd love to thank Ajahn Sujato. That was a very surprising answer. It helps a lot, and he's feeling relieved. So thank you. We also have another question in the chat. May I read it to you?
Please.
If I'm really angry with someone, could I say, may all beings be happy to calm me down, or should I start with, may I be happy first and then continue on to others?
Well, look, as a rule of thumb, okay, if you're really angry, probably not the best time to do metta meditation, okay? So just like that's the time to be patient and mindful, okay? Just get a bit of a handle on your anger, let go of those angry thoughts, and just sort of wait for a while and wait till those fires of anger have kind of cooled down a little bit. Because otherwise, the risk that you tend to make is that you kind of wallpaper over the anger by saying, oh, may I be happy, may you be happy, and so on. And then that ends up being kind of, you know, it can even become like passive aggressive or something like that. You know, may you be happy. Yeah, may you be happy. Yeah, I'm the one who's got metta. May you be happy. And then you're like, so just calm it down. Be mindful. Wait. Patience. And then let the anger pass away, and then start doing the metta meditation. So that's usually the best way. Yeah. I just want to say something to Nils. Asked a question earlier about refuge and kema. So we were talking about kema in the talk before as a sanctuary. So the word we usually translate in Pali as refuge is sarana, which indeed has a similar meaning. But sarana also has another kind of sense, which is kind of an interesting sense that's not completely obvious. But a sarana is also a sacred place. So when they talk about going to a sarana for refuge, what they're actually meaning were like sacred groves, sacred shrines, and sacred places. And these were considered to be sanctified and free of violence. And this is still the case in many cultures today, that if you're at risk of violence or something, that you'll take refuge in a church, you'll take refuge in a mosque, you'll take refuge in a temple, and this was considered to be, you know, nobody's, you know, you're going to be free from being killed there. Even you find that in ancient Greece, in the Battle of Troy, one of the unforgivable atrocities of the invading Greek soldiers was that they defiled the sanctuary of the temple by killing innocent people who'd sought refuge in the temple itself. So this is one of the dimensions of that word sarana. So yes, even though it's similar in sense to kema, but has that slightly different sense, that it's also related to seeking shelter in sacred places. So Sarah asks, I'm not feeling well today. I'm sorry to hear that, Sarah. I hope you feel better. I just trying here to make everyone be happy and stuff like that, and hope you're feeling better. And I think from everybody, everyone can send Sarah some metta? Are we good for that? Everyone send Sarah, may you be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So everyone's sending you some metta, Sarah. And so you said you changed it to may I find happiness. Is this okay or is this cheating? It's okay. It's all right. But it does. Don't worry about it too much. Like, don't get too caught up in the words and all of these kinds of things. You know, it's about the feeling. And if you find a different way of making that feeling come up for you and so on, that's okay. Yeah. Very good. Yes.
Well, I think we've got Melanie and Marion in France who would like to unmute and ask you a question.
How's it going, Melanie and Marion? Can I ask you a question while we're at it?
Yes, sure.
Look, I'm just curious. Why are you in a car?
Because
we're on a vacation, the house where we are in,
Yeah.
the connection is really bad. So we're in the car where the internet connection is better.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, I'm just curious. All right. So how's it going anyway? How's France? You guys still rioting over there?
No, we are in the mountains.
So you're not rioting?
In France.
Okay. Okay,
no,
fine.
we're not rioting. I have a question on the ghost realm.
Okay, yeah.
Imagine I die in a few days.
Okay.
And get reborn in the ghost realm.
Okay.
And I'm a ghost.
Okay.
Like my ghost, hopefully.
Yeah.
Can I hang around my sisters and like listen to Dhamma, or is it like completely separated and I have no way of like hearing Dhamma talks and practicing the path?
Oh my goodness! Can you hang around with your sisters? Are you guys sisters? I assume. No.
Yeah.
Your sisters.
And
Okay.
I have another sister, Estelle, as well.
Okay, very good.
Oh,
well. Can you hang around with your sisters and listen to Dhamma? Well, look, it really kind of depends, to be honest. When we die, so death is a transformation, and death sends our mind off into in accordance with our karma. So it really depends on what our karma is. Yeah? So most of the time, you're going to end up in somewhere that's different. But if you have similar karma, then of course that tends to keep people together as well, right? So it's not really something you can say absolutely. But look, generally speaking, the ghost realm is not... You're not going to end up in a ghost realm if you're a Dhamma practitioner, unless you're like a really bad one. Because ghost realm comes from making bad karma. And especially like if you have... too much like attachment to your material things and so on. There was one Thai monk, Ajahn Jamnian, who travelled in America and travelled around the place. And when he came back, they asked him, what was America like? He said, it was full of ghosts. As everyone's so attached to their material possessions and their houses and things, and no one offers merit for them. So if you're like super attached to your material things, and then that's what leads you to become a ghost. But if you're interested in Dhamma and meditation, then usually you won't, usually if you get reborn somewhere, you're going to go to the Deva realm or something. Can you practice Dhamma there? Sure you can. And maybe later on your sisters will join you there as well. I don't know.
But I can be reborn as a ghost from bad past karma. And I used to be a flamenco dancer, so I'm very attached to material things and senses.
Okay, yeah. So, well, look, I don't think like being a flamenco dancer is like really bad karma. I think that's kind of okay. But I don't think that the power of Dhamma is... the way that the Buddha talked about karma is that the power of Dhamma has this strength which will overcome pretty much everything else. There's a lovely simile where the Buddha talks about practicing metta, and he said that when you practice metta, that it's like a trumpeter who sends forth a clear call from their trumpet, which will be heard in every direction, and that this is like the karma that you get from practicing metta, which will overpower any other kind of negative karma around. So unless you're like a serial killer, which you're not, no? Good, excellent. Or something like that, then you're probably going to be okay. This is just my guess, okay? But I can't make any promises. There's a beautiful sutta where the Buddha was asked a similar question by one of his family members, Mahanama, I think his cousin or something. And Mahanama said sometimes he's walking along and he will trip over. And when he trips over, he thinks, maybe I'd fall and die, and then I'd lost my mindfulness. And he's like, you walk along, you trip over, you're like, bloody hell, I tripped over, and then you're like, I forgot my mindfulness. And then what would happen? I'd go to a bad realm, because my last words were bloody hell, and then I'd go to a bloody hell. He didn't exactly say that, I'm just making that bit up, but you get the idea. And The Buddha said, ma bhai mahanama, ma bhai mahanama. Yeah? Some of the most beautiful words in the Pali Canon, I think. Ma bhai, do not fear mahanama, do not fear mahanama. It's not possible, cannot happen, that somebody like you who's practiced the Dhamma for many years would go to a bad place after you die. So don't worry about it. Yeah? Wherever you go, your good karma will take you to a good place. Yeah. If you do want to, like you said, when you said before about would you be reborn with your sister, I kind of assumed that you probably wanted to be reborn with your sister, but maybe what you were saying was you wanted to get away from her. But I'm not sure if that's the case or not. But
it was just like I was interested in the connection that can have between one realm of human beings and ghost realms, and that in the ghost realms, do I hang around with other ghosts, and is it like the interactions between human beings? Do I hear other ghosts? Do I communicate, or can they annoy me? Can they be nice to me?
Look, I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's pretty lonely, actually. Like the kind of stories that you kind of hear it's more like you're kind of consumed by the need that you had that was never sated, and that realm is just that realm of like insatiable just need for things that you can never have. Yeah, so no, I don't think the ghosts are hanging around and having cups of tea and chatting about the good old days. I don't think it's kind of like that. Yeah. As to like connections between one realm and the other, I mean, it is an interesting story. Of course, it's hard to say, right, in terms of, whether people just imagining things and all of this kind of stuff. So I don't really know, but I feel like there's this kind of desperation, like from that kind of ghost realm. They often want to contact, they want to be heard, but nobody's really paying any attention to them. Yeah, it's like this kind of pale echo of living, and just sort of playing out those same desires from before. Yeah. I was just going to say that if you do want to be reborn in the same realm that Buddha said, you practice the same precepts, similar faith, a similar karma, similar generosity, and so if you have those same kind of values and so on, then there's a good chance that you can be reborn in the future life as well. That's what the Buddha said for a couple who wanted to be married, a married couple who wanted to be reborn together, and so that was the Buddha's advice for that. I mean, it's interesting though, the Buddha wasn't, the couple comes and says, we love each other, we want to be reborn together in the next life. And the Buddha doesn't say to them, don't be attached to each other. He says, oh, that's nice, well, this is how you do that. So, as long as what you want to do is wholesome and is good, then the Buddha would always support that. Yeah.
Thank you.
John.
No worries.
Oh, thank you, Nanda, you're married. John Cook, did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, quickly about it.
John.
Just two questions. One, how did you get started learning Pali? Just curious.
Yeah.
And just the second question is, with all the various kinds of meditation, there's obviously the breathing samatha, impermanence, four elements, and metta, without being formulaic about it, is there something you would suggest in terms of, having a good meditation practice spread across, the different types of meditation? Or
sure.
Whatever you like, you keep at?
Okay, so as far as the learning Pali question, I was just interested in it, and I was, caught my attention, and I just started reading and studying by myself, memorizing suttas, and learning a bit of grammar and so on. So I just taught myself. As far as the different meditations, there's actually a really nice sutta on that, the Meghiya Sutta, where the Buddha gives 4 meditations. And those 4 meditations are breath meditation, for calming the mind, loving kindness meditation for overcoming hate, contemplation of the body for overcoming attachment, and contemplation of impermanence for overcoming the idea of I am. Yeah? So these 4 meditations, breath meditation, metta meditation, contemplation of the body, and contemplation of impermanence, these are a really nice set of meditations, and they complement each other really well. And these are kind of, I think it's good to do at least a little bit of all of these. And always sort of strive for a balance. If you just do the same thing every time, then usually you'll find that your mind gets, you kind of get conditioned and you end up going in a rut. If you try doing a different meditation, let's say you normally do breath meditation, right? And then for one day you think, I'll do some metta meditation. And then halfway through your metta meditation, you find that you're watching your breath, okay? Then that's a sign, right? That's telling you, oh yeah, you're not really being mindful. So this is good. This is why it's good to do those different meditations, because it stimulates your mind in a different way. Yeah. Okay.
I just asked if one wanted to start learning Pali, is there a particular path one could take to start learning basic Pali?
Well, I'm teaching a course on Pali for this Vasa, so you can sign up for that, but it's going to be kind of hard course, so if you've got time to commit, then that's going to be good. But if you're not going to have time to commit, then if you want to try out, there's a YouTube channel called Learn Pali, which is great, highly recommended, and the guy who put that together did a lot of work and did a really nice job. So on YouTube, just the Learn Pali channel.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So how are we going, Chris? Are we ready to wrap up, or we got any more questions here?
Yes, we're ready to wrap up. If you're feeling like wrapping up, Bunty.
I'm happy to answer more questions if we got any. Have we got any? No.
Any more questions?
No. People are looking pretty good.
Bunty, would you like to offer us a blessing to finish the evening? Would that be?
Sure. Why not?
Thank you.
Okay, no problems. And just let you know, I am here in Perth for another few days. Then I am back to Sydney, where I'm spending the rains. If any of you are from Sydney or know folks from Sydney... Oh, there was a question about that. I should... hang on, where was that in the chat, or have I lost that?
Yes, there is. Somebody would like to contact...
Jennifer from Penang, yeah. Is she still here? Anyway, just to let you know, so yes, in Sydney, normally I go for Pindabata every day, so you can come and offer dana on Pindabata, or various other things. But yes, you can. We can meet in Sydney. You can find me at the monastery at the end of the world. All right, that's the easiest way to find me. Easy to Google, and you will never forget that name. Okay, the monastery at the end of the world. And you can wonder, what does it mean? But what it means is I wanted to find a name that was easy to Google. So there you have it, the monastery at the monastery in the end of the world. You find our website, and then you can find a contact and so on. And just to let you know, normally I do a Friday night talk and meditation, which is available online. So it's 7 p.m. Sydney time. And again, that's on the Monastery at the End of the World website. So you can find the link for that. So if you want to join, then that's good. So that's every Friday night at 7 p.m. Sydney time. It's the same time as... No, it's not the same time. This is Perth time. Anyway, 7 p.m. Sydney time. Okay.
Just before we finish, I'd just like to make an announcement. Everyone, we are online again next week. It will be a talk, followed by a 30-minute meditation, followed by questions and answers. And we will be on throughout the rains.
Okay, good.
So please come and join us.
Good, excellent. Okay, let me give a blessing for you all. Jayanto Bodhiya Mule Sakyanang Nandi Vardhano Evang Tawang Vijayo Ho Hidaya Sujaya Mangale Aparajita Palanke Sise Patavipo Kare Abhiseke Samabudhana Gapato Pamodati Sunakatang Sumangalang Supabhatang Suhurtitang Sukarno Sumuhu Tocha Suhitang Brahmachari Supadakirnang Kaya Kamang Vacha Kamang Padakirnang Padakirnang Mano Kamang Parnidhite Padakirna Padakirna Nikatwana Labandate Padakirne Sadhu Sadhu